And later on in this live stream, we'll be giving you more info about that seminar. But the quick version is that it will be Vince Salvatore Sensei, who's on the live stream with me here, Kayla Fader Sensei, who will be on the live stream next week, Takeda Sensei, and myself. So that's what's going on. That's what prompted us to do these Sunday live streams. And it's going to be May 26th through May 28th. And as I said, in Los Angeles. We will also have remote attendance options. Okay. So anyway, all of those details and links for registering and everything, you'll see them closer to the end of this live stream. So stick around. Okay. I think that is it with all of my all of my announcements and such. So now I will turn it over to Vince Sensei, who has so graciously agreed to interview me today. So Vince Sensei, thank you so much.
Good morning, Lia Sensei, and everybody that's on the platform. It's great to, well, I can't see you, but to feel you. And yeah, first off, yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to put my glasses on because I don't have my contacts. I don't want to read Lia Sensei's biography. Lia Sensei is a senior student of Yoshinobu, Takeda Shihan, and national director and founder of Aikido Kenkyukai International USA. She's also the author of the book, The Teacher, from the Aiki Dialogues. When you came out, a bunch of my students got that. They loved it. She began training Aikido in 1982 with the renowned William Gleason Sensei. Then for nearly 10 years, she lived and trained intensively under Takeda Shihan in Japan. Suzuki Sensei's experience in Japan also gave her the opportunity to train with Doshu Moriteru Ueshiba, the late Yamaguchi Sensei, and other notable masters. She's currently based in Los Angeles and directly oversees several dojos in her network. Suzuki Sensei travels extensively throughout the world, teaching at dojos outside of her affiliation as well. She taught in Berlin, Helsinki, Shanghai, New York City, and other cities around the world. Suzuki Sensei's classes are active but meditative and fun but intense. The focus on connection, posture, and explanation. They focus, the classes do. And I've been to her classes, they're very good. She encourages each individual to participate to create their own Aikido suited to their own body and temperament. Her mission is to foster inclusion in the Aikido world and to increase Aikido's popularity among young and those in their 20s and 30s. Well, that was that part. So let's go to the first question. We have several questions that we're going to ask, and then we can open it up to people online. So Suzuki Sensei, Lia Sensei, I'm sorry. What influenced you the most and set you on your course to becoming an Aikido practitioner and now instructor?
Thank you. Thank you, Vince Sensei. Well, you know, I was always, I was kind of the opposite of a bookworm. I needed to move. I needed to do things. My brothers and I would play outside a lot. I started bothering my parents. I started bugging my parents for a horse. And finally they gave in, they got me a horse. And so I got really, really into horse riding. And at the end of my riding career, this is kind of a condensed version. Why did she stop riding? Well, anyway, I could take this answer 1 hour, or I'm going to try to do it in about 3 minutes or so. But anyway, at the end of my riding career, I was riding about 4 to 6 hours per day, 7 days a week. Yeah, so I was just a maniac about it. And the short version is my trainer suddenly became unavailable because of personal things in her life. And the horses that we had at the time, one of them or 2 or 3 of them went back to their owners. Mine suddenly got a condition that I had to sell him to somebody who wasn't quite so serious, pushing him so hard. And then the other one, my trainer took him with her. So anyway, it all came to a screeching halt, like all within like 2 weeks or so, this whole thing happened. And I was jonesing for endorphins, really. And I didn't really even understand it at the time, but something was off. And it was about that time that I just happened to see a poster on the college campus about Aikido. And actually, sorry, I should back up. When I started feeling like something was missing, I went and watched a judo class, and I watched a kung fu class, and I watched a tai chi class. And they, in a couple of them, the instructors seemed like drill sergeants. And in the other, the Tai Chi class, it was just too slow for me. I wanted more excitement. And like you said last week, Vince Sensei, that TV show, Kung Fu, even though it sounds kind of cheesy, this TV show, for those of you who are not in Vince Sensei's and my generation, there was this fantastic TV show, and it was about a kung fu master traveling through the American West looking for his long lost brother. And the people, he would always get in these situations where people would push and push and push, and he'd say, I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight. And it would keep going, and finally he would have to. There was just no way around it, even though he's a peaceful guy. And then his fight scenes were like incredibly beautiful. And so anyway, then I went to watch these classes. And when I saw this kind of drill sergeant attitude, I was like, that doesn't seem like the Kung Fu thing. But anyway, then when I got into, I finally found Aikido. And the thing that struck me was just, since we make physical connection and keep it, maintain it, or strive to maintain it, it was exactly like good horse riding. And so it was like, wow. And I just happened to go to an Aikido dojo that was like really strenuous. So I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I got the endorphin buzz. I'm sweaty. I'm happy. And I was just connected to another living being for 90 minutes or whatever it was. So that was like, that always has been and still is the real draw for me. That's what keeps me in it, is that chemical cocktail of endorphins and adrenaline when you're running at your senpai or whatever, like, are they going to throw me ikkyo or yiriminaga? What's going to happen? And then so the adrenaline, the endorphins, and then that physical center to center connection. That's what has always been it for me.
Nice. Would you say just to riff off of that a little bit, would you say your state of being, or like your experience when you were riding the horses, did you get into like the zone would you say you were in that, and then you felt
Absolutely.
Aikido kind of had that also?
Absolutely. That, I'm glad that you asked that, Vince Sensei, because maybe some people on the live stream here, and maybe you, Vince Sensei, can relate when I talk about, for example, in Aikido, there are some single throws that I've done in my life that I remember to this day, because I felt that I was in the zone and everything just fell into place and kind of went into slow-mo, and like out of body experience and this and that. And I certainly have memories like that with horses. When you asked the question, I remembered riding my off the track thoroughbred just around. We had terrible facilities because we just didn't have the resources. I was coming around this slant here, and my trainer kept saying, draw his haunches up under you more, push, 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 push. I was dying. My legs were like jelly. But suddenly I got this feeling of like being in the zone, and the horse and I moved beautifully together. And boy, what a high that is, whether it's Aikido, horseback riding. I've heard the same thing from boxers, baseball players, but yeah, I'm totally hooked on that.
Cool. So like that, Lia Sensei, like that harmony, you got into that zone of harmony
Yeah.
with with the horse, and
Yeah.
you were going pretty deep into the art of horsemanship, and
Yes.
then it just
Yeah.
that pathway kind of fell to the side, and then
Yeah.
you saw Aikido, discovered Aikido, and experienced it, and
Yeah.
made
And
history ever since.
yeah. And this was in the early 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and horse riding has really evolved since then. My trainer was basically teaching me this. Again, I was riding before I ever did my first Aikido class.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, my trainer was teaching me musubi and centering and grounding.
Yeah.
And without those words, of course. And this was really, really revolutionary at that time. Most trainers at that time were like, make him do this, make him show him who's boss, And my trainer was not at all about that. She was all about like, think about it. What does he want? How do you need to move in order to get him to want what you want? And it was really incredible for the time. Especially, it was amazing.
So it's like, so Lia Sensei, it was more like a horse whisperer,
Right.
and like that kind of analogy, or that, well, that's an actual
Yeah.
person and movie and book and all that other.
Yeah.
And I know there's several of them, but we've had a few people that were into horseback riding, and they were recommended by like a trainer to do Aikido for that reason,
There you go.
to show the, that cross training kind of revelation that possibly somebody could have.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Thanks for
Nice.
sharing that.
Sure.
I'd like to go to my second question.
Yep.
What's something your teacher said or embodied that was unique, and now you embody or practice?
Nice. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite questions. My teacher, Takeda Shihan, one thing that always amazed me, and for those of you who don't know, I was in Japan almost 10 years, 9 years to be exact. And I've known him and kept in touch with him ever since. I've never known, and I went to Japan in 87. So it's a long time ago. So when I say I've never heard him say such and such, that's like many years, 35 years or something. So I've never heard him. He's never come up to me in a class and said, no, not like that. He has said, oh, wow, now keep that same energy and do it like this. So it's the same information, but it starts off with acknowledgement of something positive. And I've seen him do that even with people who seem to me to be doing everything the opposite of what he's saying. He says like, raise your outside hand and turn to the inside, and they do exactly the opposite. They raise their inside hand, turn to the outside, and he'll say something like, oh, good effort, or keep that positive effort, and now let's do it this way, or even more to the outside. So, and I just find that same with the horses, actually. The horse, you want it to bend more around a turn, and it doesn't, but it's working, it's sweating. So you go like, okay, great. Thanks for the effort. Thanks for the sweat. Let's try it again. And that just seems to work better with horses and with humans. So when I started teaching, I thought, okay, I'm not Takeda Shihan. His Aikido is just insane. It's insanely incredible. And I thought, I'm nowhere close to that. But what can I do? What can I take from my teacher that I can give my students? And I thought, okay, I can at least try my best to be positive, to find something positive in everything. And again, I want to be clear. You don't have to lie. If your student does something completely wrong, I think it's insulting to say, oh, that was perfect. Oh, that was great. But you can say, again, find something. Oh, good posture. Now let's try it to the outside instead. Oh, you're really bending your knees today. Great. Let's try it to the outside instead, though. You know? So, yeah, when I first started teaching, I was like, okay, the least I can do is that. And I'll keep working on my Aikido and my technique and strive to become better and better and better. So, yeah, that's the main thing.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that, Lia Sensei. So the
Sure.
that process is so important of encouragement
Yeah,
and uh, being connected to the student
I
so
think
that
so.
they feel that they're on the right track. I mean, life's hard enough sometimes to and,
Yeah.
and if
They, you know what, Vince Sensei, I always remind myself because sometimes I do get frustrated. Like, why is this point not coming across? Why are they not doing this? But then I remind myself, wait, they just came from the office. They fought their way through traffic. They could have gone home and sat on the sofa and picked up the remote control, but they didn't. They're here. And oh, do I detect a little bit of sweat on their brow? And so, yeah, it's just you've got to give people credit for that, and people will get better results. In my experience, they get better results if you lead them there through the positive rather than the negative.
hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Lia Sensei. I've had both, and yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm
Sure.
going to move along to the next question.
Uh-huh.
What have some of your biggest challenges been?
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. The first thing that came to mind just now, really, if I say what some of the biggest challenges have been as since I became an instructor, um, mostly business stuff, trying to spin all the plates that we need to spin in order to keep the dojo going, keep the doors open and the lights on. Um, so that has been a big challenge. I have sometimes had students come forward to volunteer to help out with certain aspects, so that's been incredible. As a practitioner, um, you know what? Maybe this will be really refreshing for people to hear, especially white belts. Um, as a practitioner, one of the biggest challenges is simply, well, I mean, now I don't really have that much of a choice, but I started my own dojo just like a couple months before I got fourth dan. So for all you white belts who are watching, that means that up until Sandan is what I'm going to talk about right now. Up until and including Sandan, the biggest challenge was to get to the dojo. That's all. It doesn't, there are days when you will not want to go. And those are the days that are the most important to go. And that might sound cliche, but it really is true. In I'm a little bit over 40 years in Aikido now. In those 40 plus years, there has never been even one time when when I finished class and said, no, I felt better before class. Never, not once. So, but there have been plenty of times where I thought, oh my gosh, I worked with the tech all day on the website, or, now I got to go to the dojo. So that is often difficult. So that's a very simple one. Um, Gosh, I'm trying to think of other challenges. Another challenge is knowing. Here's a nice story. One time, I was just in a period with my Aikido. I think I was like Nidan or something. I was living in Japan. I was in a period where I felt, oh my gosh, I'm not even on a plateau. My Aikido skill is declining right now. That's how I felt. this particular period. And, the plateaus were difficult enough. But then this particular one, I thought, my God, I'm getting worse, actually. How can this be? And I hadn't shared this with anybody. And then we were out at the pub, and that's where the talking took place. We didn't talk while we were training. We talked very little in the dojo, but we'd go to the pub, and then I would plant myself next to a couple of senpai, and that was heaven also. So in one of those situations, my senpai Numata Sensei, he said, wow, hey guys, have you noticed Lia's had a breakthrough? Have you noticed? She got good the last couple months. And to this day, I don't know if he sensed that I was feeling down and just like made it up, or whether he had actually authentically noticed some progress and said that. But anyway, that's what he said. And they all said like, yeah, I noticed that too. Amazing, huh? Like big breakthroughs. And then that took me out of that slump. So I don't remember what brought that on. I mean, the only thing I can remember is that for whatever reason, I was feeling like I was getting worse. So I guess, again, if there's, I guess any advice from that I would give would be, make yourself available to your senpai, and don't be afraid to like hang out with them. If I think a good senpai is always open to hanging out with and supporting kohai. But I was really supported so many times by my senpai when I had challenges. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing those more intimate stories,
Sure.
Lia Sensei. Appreciate it.
Nice.
Do we want to open up the... do you want to open up if there's any questions? Does anyone have anything for you?
Well, we do have one. Now, everybody who's watching on the live stream, Vince Sensei and I, maybe it's obvious now, we did prepare some questions ahead of time. So, yeah, Vince Sensei, let's break for a moment from our prepared questions. We can always come back to them.
Okay.
But we did get a really good question from Ariane Sensei. There it is at the top of our list. Ariane Sensei left this a few days ago. First of all, Ariane Sensei is a dojo-cho of Imajuku Aikido in, forgive me if my pronunciation is off, Ariane Sensei, I don't know, but Amersfoort in the Netherlands, perhaps, is the pronunciation. And I will be there doing a 3-day, a Friday through Sunday seminar, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I think. Ariane Sensei, feel free to leave a link in there if you want, in the chat, whatever, to let people know about it. But anyway, so Ariane Sensei left a great question. What is your most important message to students at your seminars? So I've been thinking about this since you left this question. And really, Ariane Sensei, I think it's to keep an open mind, to try everything. And so I think it's twofold. Keep an open mind, try everything that I'm showing with an open mind. Like if your teacher usually steps forward with the outside foot and I come to your dojo and I'm stepping forward with the inside foot, you could simply say like, oh, she's wrong because my sensei told me it's the, or you could try it. And then after I'm gone, you can keep that if you want, or you can go like, nah, that didn't work for me. I'm going back to the other way. But here's the other piece then of what's really important, I think, is to notice how your body feels, actually everything, how your mind, body, and spirit feels when you try these different things, these things that might be different from the way your teacher does them and has taught you. So some of the things that I'll do, you'll probably be like, yep, that's exactly how we do it here at my dojo. But other things maybe will be different. So if you notice that, oh, when I do it the way she just showed, my right shoulder doesn't hurt. And usually when I do this technique, my right shoulder hurts. Well, then that's fantastic. Then you might want to continue doing it the way I showed you. If it's the opposite, nope. When I do it the way she shows, my right shoulder does hurt, and it never hurts otherwise. So then throw it away. And then spiritually also, for example, we've got some noise, background noise now suddenly. Vince Sensei, I wonder if you can mute.
It's quiet
What?
here, but I will mute.
Oh, it's better now. Okay. Anyway, I wonder if it's my heater. Now it's back again. Anyway, guys, hopefully that's not bothering anybody. So one example. Oh, that's better, Vince Sensei. One example is that when I teach, a lot of times I remind people to look at points or lines on the wall instead of looking down at the tatami. And sometimes that feels different I think always it feels different in their body, but also mentally and spiritually, they have a different feeling then. They become more positive many times. So that's another thing to look out for. If you're coming to one of my seminars, notice not just the physical, but like, wow, yeah, when I tried it her way, I felt different mentally in this way and that way, or spiritually in this way and that way, or my partner seemed so different when we started doing it that way. Again, for better or for worse, I don't know. That's up to you to decide whether doing it this way or that way is beneficial for you and your body and your temperament. So I hope that answered the question, Aryan Sensei. And by the way, I was calling Aryan Sensei Arjan Sensei. So anybody in the chat, that's who he is. So if you want to ask about the great, he just wrote back. He just wrote very good, and he wrote 1, 2, and 3 September. So yeah, anybody who wants to contact Aryan Sensei for details, it's Arjan. Nice. You like the answer. Great. Okay. Anybody else with questions? Here we go. We do have another question. We've got someone from Algeria here, I think it is. Fantastic. And you're not able to see these questions, Vince Sensei? Darn. Okay. I'm interviewing myself here. That's okay. But feel free to riff off of it too. Okay. So again, forgive me about my pronunciation for your name. I think it's from Adon Abdallah. He asks, do I prefer to train children or adult category? I guess what Adun is asking is, do I prefer teaching kids or adults, maybe? Well, to be honest with you, I prefer, if I have to choose one over the other, I prefer teaching adults. I get more challenges from teaching adults. And more challenges within the sport side of Aikido. So I'm pretty confident that I can throw an 8-year-old. It's not so difficult to make them fall down, but somebody who's outweighs me by like 50 pounds or 100 pounds and maybe, a foot taller than me or something, that's an exciting challenge for me. And when I rode horses, I kind of prided myself. If somebody said like, I got this horse that no one can ride, and, and I would like interrupt, like, wait, where's this horse that no one can ride? So, so it's the same with my Aikido. But that being said, it is so, so important for us to have youth programs in our dojos and to learn how to teach kids. So I did learn how to teach kids. Up until COVID, we had a really, really vibrant kids program. Now we're kind of building it back up again. But this is the future of Aikido. And it's not just because it's the future of Aikido. You are helping the kids right now in their lives. And one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten, more than one parent has told me, do you mind if I sit and watch your class in here, instead of going out? Um, a couple of them have said, I learned so much about parenting by watching you teach Aikido to my kid. Wow. That was, like, as I said, one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. So I think our work with kids is so important. So any of you, any of you people with your own dojo, if you don't already have a kids program, I really urge you to get one going. And I have, by the way, I've got online courses as well. And one of them is teacher training. And I have a whole module with a few lessons in it that's dedicated to teaching kids as well. So, yeah, so I hope that answers your question, Adun. And let's see if there's other questions. Very good. Wow. Oh, wow. Ariane, you left a few. Great. Okay. 40 plus years, looking forward to meet in September. Oh, nice. Rudy's going to be at, okay, so Rudy Brouwer, if I'm pronouncing it right, is going to be in Amersfoort at Imajuku. Do you have hobbies besides Aikido? He asks. Seems you're very busy with Aikido. Rudy, that's a good question too. I'm almost kind of embarrassed to say, like, I don't really have any hobbies other than Aikido. I'm kind of an all or nothing personality. Like I said, when I was riding horses, it was 4 to 6 hours per day. I had my own competition horse and my trainer's competition horse, and then we would get problem horses, which were really horses that had problem humans in their lives. We would get those into the barn and kind of rehab them, retrain them. So, but anyway, 4 to 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then I had my job, So, yeah, I get really kind of like this. I don't like to have like 6 different hobbies or something. But that being said, I do like to go for walks. Here in LA, I live very close to Griffith Park. It's a beautiful park with an observatory at the top. So I'll go hiking in there sometimes. And I like films. But yeah, my hobby and obsession is Aikido, and profession now. So let's see. Oh, nice. Rudy is an assistant of Ariane. Okay. Well, let me do one more tech thing. We're going to do some more questions, but in the meantime, there we go. Okay, so now those of you on the live stream, if you're just watching live on YouTube, that's a whole different thing. But if you're watching in our lounge on the landing page that I created, if you refresh that page, you should now see the a registration button for signing up for the Aikido Summer Seminar in Los Angeles. So it'll be right there on that page. So anyone who's interested in signing up either in person or remotely, joining us via Zoom, just refresh your page and you'll see the sign up links. And again, super early registration ends this coming Friday. And what super registration is a discount. And then also, if you sign up by Friday, you get 1 month free of my monthly membership, where people from all over the world join me via Zoom. And I broadcast from my dojo. and we train virtually, and we've got some online resources as well, and some downloads, and some supplementary videos and things like that. So all right, so that's the plug for that. Feel free to scroll down on your page and find those buttons. Vince Sensei, maybe we should first of all, if you wanted to add anything or riff off of anything that I said, go ahead. Otherwise, maybe another question, because we do have a little bit of time still.
Okay, Lia Sensei. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I mean, to see your approach and your background, and I think that's going to be something that will. That's always nice when you have teachers from a little bit different background. Of course, we're all doing Aikido, yet you just get these insights, and I'm looking forward to the seminar to for my own training also to get different insights, different training methods, different points of view. Just like make sometimes a slight shift can change everything.
Yeah.
And one of the other questions that I had written out, or we had written out, was that O Sensei questions. Are you okay going into those?
Absolutely.
If O Sensei came to your dojo, how do you think he would coach you? What kind of interaction would there possibly be?
Yeah. Boy, Vince Sensei, this is such a great question. And I've been thinking about this since we created this question. I think this was for everybody on the live stream. I think Vince Sensei and I came up with these questions maybe 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, something like that. And boy, oh boy, I've been thinking about this question forever. And it ties in with a practice that I usually don't share this. So my practice is when I go up front, walking up front, I'm looking at O Sensei's photo, which we have right at the front on the kamiza. I'm walking up to the front to bow us in. I'm looking at O Sensei, and I have this like internal conversation with O Sensei as I walk up there, and then I sit down, do gasho, and I kind of like have O Sensei in my mind of like, do you trust me? Can I do this? Thank you for entrusting me to this. I'm going to do my best. And with, an air of humility, like, wish it was you here instead of me. Anyway, and then at the end of class, I guess what you can take away from this is that I'm pretty hard on myself. At the end of class, I sit down to bow us out, and almost always I look at O Sensei's picture and I think to him or to myself, like, hope that was okay. Not quite good enough. And I kind of beat myself up a little bit. Every now and then there's a class where I sit down in front of O Sensei at the end, and I look at the picture and I think to myself, like, well, maybe that one wasn't too bad, huh? Like, maybe this one was a little better. So, and then I bow out. So, if I have to imagine O Sensei coming to my dojo, it's actually kind of scary. And again, for whatever reason, maybe it's just my inner critic. I imagine O Sensei going like, "Oh, Lia, what are you doing? Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that." And but he also, my imagined O Sensei, does have some of this quality of Takeda Shihan that I talked about earlier, that he does acknowledge, like, okay, yeah, everybody was sweaty. So, you got people moving. And so, yeah, it's a tough one to answer. And I think our other O Sensei question is a little easier for me to answer, which was, what was that one, Vince Sensei? Oh, you got muted somehow, but I've got it now. If you could ask O Sensei one question, what would it be? Right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I can hear you. Yeah. I was asked this a few years ago in an interview also, and I think my answer has still not changed. And it's similar to your answer last week, Vince Sensei, is that um, I think my question would be, first of all, would you like to go for a bite to eat? And then when we get there, I would at first shut up and see if he takes the conversation somewhere. So, and then I don't have anything more than that. But that's what usually happened in Japan, is that I would tag along, and then these interesting conversations would happen, and I would get feedback from my senpai, unsolicited. Some nights I didn't get feedback. They wanted to talk about, like, did you hear on the news the other day this and that, But when I had those gems just dropped in my lap, these little gems of wisdom, it was because I jockeyed for position to sit next to a senpai, and then I kind of shut up and listened. So, yeah, that's my answer for that.
And
Yes.
Lia Sensei, for the seminar, we're going to intentionally set that up, right? Where
Ooh,
there'll be a time where there can be a topic that's brought up, or a student can ask a question, or
yeah,
maybe just through collaboration, some type of point comes up, some kind
yeah,
of focal point,
yeah.
and there will be a time for like what you had in Japan, right?
Yes. I forgot to mention that. So at the seminar, well, when I went to teach at Vince Sensei's dojo in Reno, Nevada, I thought one of the really nice things that you did was, instead of just saying, "Hey, everybody, we've got wraps and salad over here. Get your food, and we're going to start again in 2 hours." Instead, Vince Sensei said something to the effect of, "We're going to have lunch, and we've got some tables set up in a big U shape." We had what, like 40 people or something. And he
Yeah.
said something about, "You've got an instructor here from out of town," which was myself and another instructor. And so our custom is that participants are encouraged to take advantage of this. And I forget exactly how you said it, but like, this is your chance to ask questions instead of just random conversation. Let's be mindful about this and take advantage of this opportunity. Something to that effect. So I want to do that for the May seminar also, because we'll have Vince Sensei, Kayla Fader Sensei, Ikeda Sensei, myself, and we've all had long, deep experience in Aikido, and varied. So really a wealth of knowledge will be at their fingertips. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Now, let's see, there's another. Chris says, one long-term objective, kiddo kids, especially the girls, is to plant the idea that they're not weaker. Yes. Okay, so Chris-san in Brasilia, she says that one of her long-term objectives in teaching kids, especially the girls, is to plant the idea that they are not weaker, even if they are smaller. What would you recommend to accomplish this? Well, first of all, if they're in your Aikido dojo, anybody's Aikido dojo, they're already in the right place, because we work with leverage, timing, positioning, rather than brute strength. So that's already an advantage. And then I think, Chris-san and Vince Sensei, please start thinking of your answer, because I want to volley this over to you as well. But I think that, first of all, Aikido lends itself well to bringing them to this conclusion. And I think that if you keep it positive, like what I've talked about, that they'll be more empowered. I've had some kids classes that were just like, I mean, I've had like 95% of my kids classes these days are fantastic, but you get that 5% of classes where just like everything seems to go wrong for whatever reason, it's not working. At the end of those classes, I say, well, today wasn't our worst class, but it wasn't our best. I'm really looking forward to next week when we do XYZ. So I don't dwell on so and so you messed up on this today, and so you were really naughty on that and that and that. I just go, boy, I've seen you guys do so well. I don't know what happened today. And, I take responsibility for anything that I did to contribute to this not so good class that we had today. So I think next week we can really pull it together, and let's see if we can do X, Y, and Z next week. And I get really good results when I do that. Next week they remember. I often forget at the next class, but they remember. And Vince Sensei, I'll repeat the question. If you've got something to say, she says, one longer term objective I have with teaching Aikido to kids, especially the girls, is to plant the idea that they're not weaker, even if they're smaller. What would you recommend to accomplish this?
I think it just, thank you, Lia Sensei. I think it just depends on your definition of what weak is and what strong is. And then, to continually ask yourself what is strong and what, because I think Aikido's as a martial art or a Budo, and we're getting into semantics, I guess, but it's like what is the goal of the art? Because just for one that I repeat a lot is we work with an uke-nage relationship, and it is it kind of transcends like opponents. They're not opponents, and when I think that goes beyond gender. So if we focus on like a more sport-based martial art, they're going to be gender, based, or you're not going to have a woman and a man compete together, generally speaking. And the way you move and the rules are set up so, who is the strongest sometimes, who knows more techniques. Aikido really transcends that whole idea, in my opinion. So we don't want to, if they already have some type of idea that, I won't be able to do it because this person's bigger. As a teacher, we have to show ways of, well, you're not going to engage in a way to where, I mean, some of the stuff is lofty too. It takes practice, but you're not looking to be stronger than the other person. You're looking to work with them, like you were talking about with the, when you're with horses and humans, and whether they're male, female, and it's see that bigger picture, like you were talking about on the walls. If you look at other people, you might engage this way, but if you're looking the way you use your eyes as just like a basic, not a trick, but like a technique, a strategy of expanding beyond me against you kind of thing. So, exactly. And I mean, I don't want to entertain that too much, that women are weaker, or just refocus it to where, what am I focusing on when I'm doing this? What's my role as an Aikidoist? I'm not an opponent. And
right. Yeah. Nice. I just noticed we're coming up towards the end of this. So thank you for adding that your perspective on that, Vince Sensei. I think we should jump to the last question. I think that we didn't do this question. What were you thinking, Vince Sensei? I was thinking about what are you most looking forward to about the seminar?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's make that our final question. So I'm The thing that I'm looking forward to the most with the seminar is really simple. It's really the fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
A word that Vince Sensei used a lot in his interview last week was the alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this person's energy combined with this person's energy, and you come up with something completely new. And so we've divided the teaching time up evenly between these four instructors. And I know that at some seminars, teachers show up and they teach their class and then they leave, and that's that. Setting this seminar up, I had a talk with all the other three instructors. In other words, I spoke with Vince Sensei, Kayla Sensei, Ikeda Sensei, and we've all agreed that we're going to be there for the whole seminar. So it's going to be. We may or may not get up and go, oh, that was really cool what Vince Sensei was doing, and now I'm going to, riff off of that or show it like this and that. And we may or may not do it that clearly, but still, even if we're sitting there watching, even if we do a different technique with a different theme for our class, and if I'm participating in Vince Sensei's class, whether I'm on the mat or I'm sitting and watching intently and sincerely, that will have some kind of impact on my class when I get up after him. So that's what I really like about co-teaching. I like doing my own seminars where I'm the only teacher, and I like teaching with other teachers. They both have their pros and cons. So that's really what I'm looking forward the most, the alchemy on the mat and off the mat. So also the lunch thing. The last seminar I did here in Los Angeles, I had a plan that, okay, Saturday when everything finishes for the day, I'll just go with this person and that person to have dinner, and then these people will go on their way. Well, things happened differently, and it was really nice. I was like, oh my goodness, 15 people want to go with me to the restaurant. You know what? I thought it was going to be 3, and we were going to talk about organizational stuff, affiliation stuff. But it was like 15, and we had like a really powerful discussion. So I really like that too. So maybe I really enjoy this style of interview and kind of interacting with Vince Sensei. So even though it's my interview, Vince Sensei, maybe you want to say what you're most looking forward to as well.
Yeah, I would just piggyback off what you just said. I mean, be open to what is going to happen and not be too, just being who I am. I plan everything, but I'm always, what I find is it gives me more freedom to be creative because I have confidence in, well, this is kind of where we're going, but unless it's like real beginners, but even then, you have to adapt your approach depending on who's actually there and what they're able to absorb on that day,
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's just having trust too. I guess the other part is having trust in people.
Yeah.
When you have, when you trust other people, I think that's part of the alchemy too, is you let go of your attachment to, it's got to be this way. You train with Takeda Sensei, I expect this. No, stay open. And when you're really open and observing or listening, really, really listening, there are treasures that are there. And even you might not even discover that treasure in that moment during the seminar. It might come later. It's like, oh, wow, your body, maybe you felt it, but your body wasn't ready to absorb it and to be able to express it. But maybe a couple months later, it's like, oh, you'll get something from it. It'll resonate through,
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's
cool.
That's what I'm looking forward to. It's going to be
Nice.
fun.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's going to be so much fun. So, all right, let me look at my notes again, you guys. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up. And again, if you're, you know what, let me also send this link to those who are not in the lounge. I'm going to put a link in the chat to register. All right. Sensei Vincent, thank you. Good. All these messages. So those of you who don't have the link yet or don't know how to register for the summer seminar in Los Angeles, here comes a link. So you can, you might be able to just click right on that from the chat, or you can copy and paste it into your URL. And please join us. It'll be May 26th through May 28th in Los Angeles, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for instructors: Hiroshi Takeda Shihan, Kayla Feder Sensei, Vince Salvatore Sensei here on the live stream with me, and yours truly. And Ariane Sensei will be hosting me in the Netherlands in September. And then I'll be going to Dusseldorf after his place, and then Bonn, Germany. So like a 10-day tour in Europe. So
Nice.
anybody who's interested in that, figure out a way to send me a message, send it to me via chat or whatever. I'm really accessible. So Vince Sensei, thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you, Lia Sensei, and I'm sure I failed terribly today, but you did an awesome job.
No, you did fantastic. Again, the super early registration ends this coming Friday the 10th or 11th, whatever it is. I think it's the 10th. All right. So thank you, everybody from around the world. We had Algeria, Brazil, the Netherlands, and probably some places that I'm missing.